A very good morning to all of you. Today we shall continue with the drama The Merchant of Venice. Let us recall what had happened in the drama till now. Antonio, the rich Venetian merchant, borrowed money for his friend Bassanio from Shylock the Jew. Before giving money, Shylock made Antonio sign a bond, wherein it was mentioned that if Antonio was unable to pay the required money on the given date, he was liable to have a pound of flesh. As Antonio's ships were all out at sea and had not returned, Antonio was unable to pay the money to Shylock, and thus Shylock drags him to the court. The Duke of Venice tries and requests Shylock to show mercy, which he declines. Then the Duke sends for Bellario, a learned lawyer, in order to come and sort out the matter. Let us see what happens next. Nerissa enters the court disguised as the lawyer's clerk. Duke, have you from Padua? From Bellario's office? Duke asked Nerissa if he had come from Padua, from Bellario's office. Nerissa replies, Yes, my lord. Bellario greets your grace. He has sent his greetings to you. She then hands him a paper, which he reads. Duke, this letter from Bellario recommends a young and learned doctor to our court. Where is he? He asked Nerissa that in this letter Bellario has mentioned about a young and a learned doctor of law. Where was he? Nerissa tells him, he waits for you to call him. He's waiting outside the court and waiting for your call. The Duke says, with all my heart, with all my heart. I welcome him to this court with all my heart. 3 or 4 of you go and fetch him. In meantime, I will read out Bellario's letter. He says to his courtiers that 3 or 4 of them should go and escort him to the court. In the meantime, he shall read what is written in Bellario's letter. Duke reads the letter. Your Grace, I am very sick. Luckily, when I got your message, I had a visitor, a young Roman lawyer named Balthazar. I have told him all about the case. We looked over many books together, and he knows my legal opinion on this matter. He also has his own expert opinions. Therefore, I am sending him in my place. Allow him to act as judge. He may look young, but he is wise beyond his years. In the letter, Duke reads that Valerio has mentioned that the young Roman lawyer is a learned person. Though he is young, but he is very wise, and the Duke must not go by his looks, for he has great knowledge about the law. Portia enters the court disguised as a lawyer. As she enters, the Duke asked her, Did old Bellario send you here? Portia replies, Yes, my lord. Duke, are you familiar with the dispute the court is trying to settle? Are you aware about the case that is being tried in the court? Portia, I am informed in detail. I have discussed the case in detail. Then she turns towards Shylock. Is your name Shylock? And Shylock proudly replies, Shylock is my name. Portia, the nature of your suit is strange. Yet in such a rule the Venetian law cannot change you for your demand. Portia says, You have filed a strange kind of case in the court. Yet the Venetian law cannot deny you justice, for you have demanded for the same. Portia then turns to Antonio. You stand in great danger, do you not? Are you aware that you are in a great danger? Antonio says, yes. So he says, it is what he believes. Portia further asked Antonio, do you confess to sign the bond? Do you agree that you have signed this bond? Antonio says, I do. Yes, I have. Portia then turns towards Jew. She says, then the Jew must be merciful. Then Shylock must show mercy towards Antonio. Shylock gets irritated and asked her, why should I be merciful? Tell me that. He asked Portia that why should he be merciful towards Antonio? She must give him a reason for the same. At that moment, Portia explains the quality of mercy. She says, the quality of mercy is not forced. The quality of mercy cannot be forced upon anyone. It must fall upon this earth as rain from heaven. It must come within a person naturally as the rain from the sky. It blesses both him that gives and the one that takes. It blesses both the one who gives and the one who receives. It is a quality of the God Himself and man's best way to get closer to God. She further tells him that mercy is one of the greatest qualities of God, and if a human being wishes to go closer to God, he must practice mercy in his life. Therefore, in the course of justice, none of us should seek salvation. If we do not practice mercy in our life, we shall not see salvation. Praying for mercy will teach us that we all should surrender to deeds of mercy. When we pray for mercy in our life, at the same time we must remember that we must surrender, we must give ourselves and show mercy towards others. Hearing the words of Portia, Shylock says, I demand for the law the penalty and forfeit of my bond. I want nothing else, thus the fulfillment of my bond. Portia. Is he not able to return the money? Is Antonio unable to return the money that he borrowed? Bassanio immediately responds, yes, here I return it for him in gold, and even twice the sum. I am here to return the money that he borrowed, and I am here to give twice the amount. Portia. No power in Venice can change a verdict established. Portia then recalls the law of Venice and says, no one in Venice can change the law that has been made in order to fulfill the justice. Shylock. Oh, how I do honor you, wise judge. At this moment, Shylock finds that Portia has given up and now is on his side, and he addresses her as a wise judge. Portia. I pray you to let me have a look at your bond. I request you to just let me see what is written in the bond. Shylock. Here it is, Reverend Judge. Over here, O respected judge. And then he hands Portia a piece of paper which had been signed by Antonio and him. After reading the bond, Portia says, so a pound of merchant's flesh is due. It is mentioned in the bond that Antonio has to give a pound of flesh as he has not been able to pay the required amount on the due date. The court shall give him justice, and he shall have it by law. Hearing the words of Portia, Shylock addresses her as the most rightful judge and welcomes her words. And he tells that let us prepare for the execution of the bond. Portia. Why, this lawfully allows the Jew to claim a pound of flesh. This bond allows the Jew to have a pound of flesh, to be cut off nearest the merchant's heart, which he might cut near the heart of the merchant, that is, Antonio's heart. She once again approaches Shylock and asked him to show mercy and take twice the money that he had lent, so that she could destroy the bond. Shylock replies, "You are a worthy judge and you know the law." He says that you are a learned judge and you know the law very well. I charge you by the law. I ask you to go by the law. I will not go back on my bond. I shall not go back on the words written in my bond. Portia then turns towards Antonio and tells him, Antonio, lay bare your bosom, that be ready to give away a pound of flesh. Shylock, yes, his breast. Yes, he must unbutton his shirt, for I need to take a pound of flesh from his breast. That is what the bond says, nearest his heart. Those are the exact words mentioned in the bond. As Shylock prepares himself for the execution of the bond, Portia tells him, wait a little, there is something else. This bond does not mention a single drop of blood. The words expressively are a pound of flesh. The words mentioned in the bond are a pound of flesh, and nothing has been said about a drop of blood. Shylock, is that the law? Portia, you see the bond yourself, for as you demand justice, be assured that you will receive more justice than you deserve. Portia says, you may have a look at your bond. You have been demanding for justice, which I assure you that you will receive. Shylock, I take this offer then. Shylock says, if that is the case, I take the other option. Pay the bond twice and let the Christian go. The Christian here refers to Antonio. Says that let me have twice the amount of what I had lent to Antonio, and I would allow Antonio to go. Bassanio is very eager and he says, here's the money. I have already kept the money ready for you. But Portia intervenes and tells Bassanio, soft. The Jew shall have justice. Just have patience. The Jew will receive justice. Therefore, he must prepare to cut off the flesh. But you cannot shed a drop of blood. But she tells him that he cannot shed a drop of Christian blood, nor cut less nor more, but just a pound of flesh. He must not cut more or less of flesh of Antonio. He must cut exactly a pound of flesh. Because if you take more or less than a pound, you will die. You are entitled to death, and all your property will be confiscated. All the property of Shylock would be confiscated. When Shylock realizes that he had fallen into the trap of Portia, he asked her, give me my principal and let me go. Give me the amount that I had given to Antonio and let me go out of this court. At that moment, Bassanio very eagerly offers the money. He says, I have it ready for you. Here it is. But Portia stops him and says, he has refused it in the open court. He has refused for the money in the open court in front of everyone. He shall have only justice and his bond. He will receive justice now and the things mentioned in his bond. At that moment, Shylock, a bit upset, asked, "Can I not have only my principal? Am I not liable to have the amount that I gave?" Portia says, "You shall have nothing but the forfeiture. You cannot have anything except the fulfillment of your bond." Shylock says, "I do not wish to stay here any longer in this court to argue with anyone." And then he tries to move out. As he tries to step out, Portia stops him and tells him, "The law has yet another hold on you." Over here, on you refers to Shylock. The current law in Venice have been so framed that if a foreigner seeks the life of a citizen by any means, the party so aggrieved has a right to seize one half of his good, and the state may charge the offender of the other half. She tells Shylock that the present law in Venice is so made that if a stranger tries to be a threat to the life of a citizen of Venice, the party, the person against whom the crime has been committed, is liable to have one half of his property, and the other half would go into the hands of the state. The guilty party's life lies in the mercy of the Duke only, and the life of the guilty person lies in the hands of the Duke, that is, at his mercy. Hearing the words of Portia, Shylock says, "Then take my life and all. You may take away my life and everything from me. You may as well take my house. You may take away the house that is left. Taking away my means of sustenance is equal to taking away my house. You are taking away my means of living, and which is equal to taking away my house." And he says, "And taking away my house is like taking my life." Portia then turns to Antonius, says, "What mercy can you render him? What kind of mercy can you show towards him?" Antonius says, "I request the court to set aside the fine for one half of his property. I request the court not to put fine on one half of his property. I am happy as I am, as long as he lets me have the other half in trust to give it to the gentleman who recently married his daughter. If he allows me to give the other half of his property to the gentleman, that is Lorenzo, who had recently married his daughter Jessica, Duke, he shall do this. He will have to do it." Portia, "Are you content now, Shylock? Are you happy now, Shylock?" Shylock, "I am content. I am happy. I pray you to let me leave the court. I request you to allow me to go out of the court. I am not well. I am not feeling well." Portia, "Clerk, draw a deed of gift. Draw a deed which is a gift to Lorenzo and Jessica." After this, Shylock exits. He moves out of the court, followed by Duke and his courtiers. As the Duke moves out of the court with his courtiers, Bassanio approaches the lawyer, that is Balthazar, and thanks him from the depth of his heart for saving the life of his friend. Later in Belmont, Bassanio is amazed when he realizes that Balthazar was none other than Portia in disguise. Portia hands over a letter to Antonio, revealing the good news about the return of his ships. I hope you have understood the story till now. In the next video, we shall take the character sketch of the main characters of the play and the title justification. Thank you and have a nice day.